evening. Good evening. Hi, Dave.
Good evening, Nigel. How are we, Night King?
Well, not too bad. It's Monday, but it's over. Yo.
Exactly.
Hello, folks.
Welcome to another Craic.
Let's get them in. Welcome to tonight's WhiteWalkers Chat and Craic. On this month's show, we're going to be discussing some breaking news out of the camp, re-signing of some players, a very brief stint on some media information that came out, but we'll not give that a lot of airtime. We're going to preview the Rainbow Cup and European game, have a quick chat about the Pro 14 and how Ulster went this season, and any other news from the Ulster camp, some of which will be interesting. So, as I say, this is WhiteWalkers Chat and Craic, part of the 3-Bod Rugby group. I'm Nigel QUIGLEY. He's Dave Topham. Welcome to the show. David.
Nigel, how are we, sir?
What's been happening, mate?
Oh, you know what? Well, between sucking plenty of diesel and finding out that we have a very, very good boss at the top of Ulster Rugby, you know what? It's actually been quite the cracking week. You know, been doing some advanced scouting and preparation for this, you know, so it's been interesting. I even knew how to spell definitely right.
That's a clue in that show. It is. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. As Ted Hastings would say, Mother of God. Anyway, fella.
Right, fella.
So, wee bits of news. We'll go with the sort of news out of the rugby camp this week. We've just heard that Bill Johnson's off to Ealing Trailfinders on a loan spell until the end of the season, although I suspect that could become a bit more than the end of the season. He's off to join Angus Kernahan. So it sort of makes me think there's quite a bit of a Ulster influence starting to appear at Ealing, isn't there? And you wonder if that's something that's going to more off.
We know quite rightly it wasn't going to take Kieran Campbell along to start having a wee pinch at a few players, and to be fair, I think it's good for Bill, especially in this certain role as a short-term injury cover, just to get a bit of experience in the championship, and we'll wait and see how this pans out. But that's something that I know what we're gonna we'll be chatting about later as we go. Obviously, the other biggest update I think is the sad news that our good friend Cormac Itsachukwu is going to be out for approximately 8 months.
Yes, and he's just signed a new 2-year contract, which at the same time I'm delighted about. The sad thing is he's not going to be around for 8 months of it, as it looks like he has to have ACL surgery. And he looks like a real prospect for us. And I think, to be honest, even if we're going to be without him for 8 months, he's worth signing up. He's worth signing up. Get that lad nailed in. Just a little reminder, folks, that our sponsors tonight are Hellbent, Kainako Biltong, 2 of South Africa's finest ranges of artisan food made right here in Ulster, and Auto Door Solutions. I keep calling it services. It's Solutions, which is me, which is sales, service, and repair of automatic doors. So we got that bit out of the way. It's not very nice promoting yourself on a video, but anyway.
Come on! We shouldn't be bowing the heads to these corporate sponsors,
Any opportunity, mate, I should be. But very, very, very unfortunate, because Cormac's had a couple of really good appearances off the bench, and I think we would have seen an awful lot of them in the Rainbow Cup. Just a question for you, mate.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance they'll sign a injury joker with him being injured?
Very possibly. I can't see. I can't see why they wouldn't want to.
We've got 4 locks left, haven't we? Like, really, and one of those is still injured in Sam Carter. So I have a feeling we'll see a joker signing.
I think we need to be prudent about obviously making sure that we have enough cover ourselves, because if we did lose another one, then we're up said street without the said paddle.
Well, we don't have Carter for this weekend. We don't have Izzy, and Hendo's still under observation. We may not have him. That could be 3 or 5 locks out this weekend.
Quite possibly.
So I think they're probably going to have to look at it. So what else have we got? Somebody
Well,
else
the good
signed,
news
didn't
is
they?
Angus Curtis is back in the full training again.
Angus Curtis is, which is not something we really need because he's a centre stroke wing, stroke 10
No,
pot.
but at the same time, it's good. It's good to see him back after quite a lengthy layoff. So,
Super wee
it's
player,
good to see
actually.
him back in there.
Yeah, I really like seeing him when he was playing before he got injured. It was a horrible injury, but he was really starting to hit some form. He's a very strong player, very powerful, very low centre of gravity kind of player. He seems to be able to turn very quick, but he's got the bulk to leg drive and go through people as well. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see him back. And but yeah, locks are what we need. Oh, I know, Bradley Roberts, the mullet.
The mullet.
Probably surprised a few people with the fact that we have hookers, but I think he's done a super job when he has come on for us, and I was delighted to see him get a 1-year contract, and this is his opportunity now to nail himself in for a few years, I think. Obviously scored his debut try with but probably by the time he got to the bar was a 70-meter sprint, but anyway, it was damn good for a hooker. But delighted to see him signed, actually, and he seems to be a real character in the squad too. They seem to really like him. You know, when you see him score that try,
absolutely. The look on all their faces when Bradley finally scored that try against every. You could almost put a Celine Dion track onto that. You know, it's just one of those moments. You know,
it was brilliant, and it was the look on his face. Actually, it was the look on his face when he took the ball and realised there was nobody in front of him. It was just like this look of sheer shock. You know?
It was like, which way do I go again?
Do I have to pass this? No, I don't. And off he went. It was funny. That was funny. So that's the two contract signings, although one of them's not available for a while. Hendo, have you heard? I've not really heard much about Hendo, but he must be close because although they said they were monitoring him last week too.
Yeah, they've been keeping the cards close to the chest with Hendo, and rightly so. I know, according to the current updates, he has been monitored this week, so I would say he's very close to coming back in. I would like to think maybe if he's good to go, he might get some game time, this Friday. But if not, they may just hold him back and let him loose against the Tigers in a week and a bit.
I don't think we'll see him this weekend, if I'm honest. I just have a feeling we won't, and I think it'll be half an eye on the semi-final.
Yeah.
So I think we will probably see Alan and Big Treads and probably Matty Ray as bench cover, like we've seen before, because Matty can sort of cover second row. He's a big enough lad for it, So I don't think they'll risk Henderson this weekend, to be honest. And I think we'll talk about this a little later. I think this Rainbow Cup's going to be a bit more about squads than teams actually going for it, if you understand me. I think they'll want to win it, but if you're still in Europe, you're not thinking Rainbow Cup.
No, you'll be thinking let's use the squad. Let's bring out our A team and let them.
We're at home. They're at home. They're not going to risk big players. I think you'll see quite a few changes this week. I'll say quite a few, the 4 or 5 anyway, I think. But we'll talk about that a little later.
Absolutely.
I think we've got a signing of our own to announce, haven't we, mate?
Well,
before we do, let's give that little bit of press the small bit of time it deserves. Some of you may have seen that our friend in the Indo, Neil Francis, put out a piece stating that players who come from the Republic would somehow feel under threat playing for Ulster with the unrest that's up here. And I know I read it and it left a bit of a taste in my mouth, and I thought, what is he doing here? This is just horrible, opportunistic journalism at its worst, and something he doesn't normally do. Johnny Petrie actually took to Twitter and replied to him. I don't know if we have his reply. I don't think we do.
I have the reply here, Nigel. And I'll
quote what he said there, because I thought it was fantastic what he said.
He went and said this. I don't often get annoyed or pay much heed to things like this, but I find this article really disrespectful and showing a complete lack of understanding of rugby, sport, people, and culture in our province. Catch yourself on.
Brilliant.
In that case, we can very say Johnny Petrie
Straight out of
Johnny
the 10
Pepper's
days.
now a paid Ulsterman.
Mm-hmm. Catch yourself on. He just didn't say fella at the end of it, which would have just finished it, wouldn't it? Like, but unbelievable piece of journalism and totally unnecessary. And I think had it been somebody a bit more politically known than him, it probably would have caused more of a reaction in the wider public. But certainly within the rugby fraternity, he's done himself no favours with that at all. I mean, that's just not the way rugby in Ulster is. It's not the way rugby is. It's not the way the rugby family works. I've been to so many games, as you have too, mate, at the Kingspan. I've never seen anything like that, ever. And the fans meet, they have a beer, they have great crack, they go down to the bars in the town afterwards and have a beer, and it's been nothing but fun. And I've never seen any of that carry on.
As far as I'm concerned, he's neither done himself or his paper any favours with that sort of thing, and quite rightly, everybody's rounded on him, and hopefully it might give him a little bit of pause. However, I doubt it. It just seems.
Oh, it won't stop. It won't stop there. Yeah, he's a clickbait journalist. He always has been, and he likes to find division and criticism, and it doesn't matter where it is, he'll find it, and it doesn't matter whether it's Ulster, Leinster, Munster, Ireland, another nation, whatever. He'll find something to irritate people on a global scale and local. He's great that way. He's very. Listen, you have to be good at something, I suppose.
I don't think he was even a good player, and that was the funny thing about it.
Well, who was saying that? He may hear this. Let's just put it like this: he wouldn't exist in the current game.
Yeah, I think we'll put hashtag prop life on that one.
I think so. I believe that there. Anyway, Johnny Petrie, well played, fantastic, and thanks for doing what you did. The fans love you for it, mate. Brilliant. Now we'll move on to our new signing. We're delighted to announce that we've signed another member to the team to come on the presenting team. You will know him. You've seen him before. You've seen him on our show. But we're delighted he's agreed to come and join us, and you'll see a lot more of him. And hopefully you all love him, because you're just going to see a lot more of him. Welcome to Chris Brownfield from the South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club, which I'm sure most Ulster fans know. But if you don't, go and have a look. They're actually a very well respected supporters club on Facebook, and I mean by Ulster Rugby. You actually did a lot. Chris, how are you, mate? Good to see you again.
Very good indeed, Nigel. Thanks very much for the introduction. That's very kind of you. And Dave, good evening to you. And of course, all our listeners, good evening, folks. Hope you're all keeping well on this fine Monday evening as we approach the Connacht game and then closer to our semi-final. Yummy, yummy.
You wouldn't guess who's excited, did you?
I've no idea who that might be, Mr. Toppin, at all. Thank you, Gregor. No.
By the way, mate, saw the picture, the video of the picture you sent to Marcel. Really nice touch, mate. Well done. That was a really nice touch, and his response was fantastic too, wasn't it?
Oh, to be fair, our little club stepped up again and done a lovely piece of work. With the compliments of a young guy down here in Newport in South Wales who puts that together for us. And to be honest, Marcel's face was just an absolute picture when he opened it. His mum and dad, both Andres and Delia, were absolutely instrumental in getting us some really key words from his birth. Like his nickname was Pilot as a child due to his big ears. And obviously his favorite food is sort of steak, braai, obviously, and steak and chips, and sort of some really nice personal stuff that most of us would never have known, and a real pleasure to get his mum and dad involved in some of the key bits there. But his wee picture was a face, and fair play to his wife Chanel for helping us make that happen. So that was good.
Superb.
Although I might have to have my brother, cheeky wag that he is, he goes, lads, as a Welsh-based signing, I hope he doesn't count as one of our NIQ players.
So do I, and we're in real trouble.
Yeah, I know. Actually, come to think of it, we're only going to have one next year, aren't we?
Carter, I'll be Mathis.
Sorry, Carter and Nakarawa will have,
that's it.
Yep.
Because I'll be one, isn't it?
Chris, we're talking to Dave earlier about the news, about Cormac. Looks like he's going to be out for 8 months, and we've got Big Sam out for a while as well. Do you think there's a chance we'll sign an injury joker? for a few months?
I think, to be fair, against Neil Francis's best wishes, I think we might end up having to just procure one from Leinster for a few months. I just can't see us getting through the end of the season without the input of another player from somewhere. And obviously, with the abundance of talent coming out of Leinster at the minute, and no one's getting game time necessarily week in, week out, we might just need to borrow another one. But Neil Francis will blow another gasket.
Well, he probably will, and let's be honest, we're probably kind of hoping he will. Let's be fair. We're not really concerned whether Neil Francis blows a gasket or not. But if it blows, tee-hee. I'm sorry, but there you go. Actually, that's actually a very good point, though, Chris, that it's as likely they'll shift somebody up, a young fella up from Leinster for a few months to get him game time. Because I think it would only be an injury joker at this stage, because if we get everybody back, we have 5. And we have a couple of lads in the academy they might want to start looking at next season as well. But yeah, so I think that's something to watch out for, because I think it could happen. We're a bit light, and if Sam's not right and Hender's not quite right yet, we've lost Izzy for 8 months. Izzy was going to be a big part of our season next season, I think. So
I'll have to agree.
Yeah, so I think they've got to replace him short term. Yeah,
I think the short term is certainly the problem, but I just wonder, is the Rainbow Cup a perfect opportunity to bring some of the young cubs through? Because where are we going with this? Are we going to commit a full match day 15, or are we going to try and blood some young guns coming through? It's going to be interesting to see where Ulster Rugby place the Rainbow Cup in terms of importance of achievement. Connacht at home, we would expect to win that. But when we go away to Munster and Leinster, Leinster are unlikely to field the first 15, especially with the European Championship coming up. But it's going to be an interesting sort of next couple of weeks to see just where Ulster put the Rainbow Cup.
Well, again, I was saying earlier to Dave, I think that while we're still in Europe, the Rainbow Cup's going to be the second thing, isn't it? They're going to have their eye on that semi-final without a doubt. Yeah, they'll still want to put a good squad out against Connacht at home, but it's not going to be our first team. I don't think they'll risk Hendo this week unless he needs game time. I think we could see the likes of Dave McCann, people like that coming in, maybe even Marcus Ray, although Matty Ray's not played an awful lot lately. I think I've got a feeling there's going to be a bit of squad rotation in this Rainbow Cup. I think they will maybe start giving younger players.
I mean, it's quite some time. It's quite some time since Henry's actually featured in the Ulster squad, and we've got a really, really set, squad coming through. We've had a couple of games in the bounce where we've played basically the first 15. And who are we going to drop to make way for Henry whenever Addison comes back? Who are we going to drop to make way for Will Addison? It's going to be quite an interesting, real challenge to get people to play week in, week out. And there's some players who naturally just can be out for 3 weeks, step back in as if they've never been away. But there's also a few players who need game time, repetition to really cement their plays again. And, I just think it's going to be a real big dynamic. And I just hope that Henry fits in absolutely seamlessly as you would expect, when you've got the sort of likes of Treds and, Treds is playing absolutely phenomenally, and he's been absolutely brilliant for us this year. And he really gets the credit that he deserves for what he does.
No, I agree with you. He's a fantastic player, and Alan O'Connor as well. Yeah. Those two have been kind of the mainstay of our second row.
Engine room, yeah,
they've been the engine room, and it's worked well. But I think, funny you mentioned Addison's a good example, because rumor is he's fit.
I think he should run it this weekend if he is.
I think we'll see. We might even see him this weekend. Now, he's a player, if fit, will be in the team this weekend. Absolutely. They'll get him in straight in, get him playing. Who do you drop? It's probably going to be Mike Larry for this weekend, because he's going to want to either go. He's got so many options, and I'm just hoping we're not jumping the gun here, but we're not really. No. So there's an item there that I think is worth discussion. That's we know who we've got for next season, bar perhaps maybe an injury joker signing. Is the balance of our squad better, do you think, for next season? Now we're talking about two locks injured, and that's we need locks, but other than that, do you think we've got a fairly good balance? It does look better than it has been, I think, doesn't it?
Is that going to Dave or is that going to me?
But whoever wants to go first.
Dave, kick off.
Well, funny enough, when I thought about it, looking at the squad in general, it seemed that you needed that wee bit of that wee bit of a buffer now, considering that we have a lot of good players coming through the academy system at the minute. I think we are slightly out of balance at the minute. Not a great amount, but slightly out of balance. Certainly has been mentioned about the locks situation. If we pick up another injury in the locks, we're going to have problems. Even if Hendo does come back, we're still going to be light on the ground. So we definitely need one backup there. But certainly, I would pick up on what Gerald said there about giving guys coming through, give them a chance, let them get the experience in. I would sort of tend to go from the academy first, see where we need to balance it out slightly. I say the problem is, do we take out Larry? Who do we take out in the second?
I've got to be honest with you, Dave. I think Ulster have done that all season. I mean, if you look at the rotation of the squad this season, and he has brought young fellas in, I mean, I know a lot of people are shouting about we haven't seen Aaron Saxton because we've seen him play for the A's and they're just busting to see him break into the team. But I
don't think he's ready.
I think Dan wants to work on other areas of his game, doesn't he? At this point, maybe I don't think it's defensively necessarily. We know he's dangerous going forward. Maybe it's positional. It's probably positional. He just wants to get, I think, just a bit closer before he puts him in. Plus, the options he has in the back three at the minute are phenomenal. If you've got Allison coming back, you're there again. That's another one. But I think he has. I mean, we've seen the likes of quite a bit of David McCann this season. Probably one I thought we might see more of was Marcus Ray. I thought we might see him a time or two, and we haven't. So I'd like to think he'll get a bit of a step out. I think we've started to see young Ethan McElroy. You might see him starting a few games rather than coming off the bench, stuff like that. It's not going to be humongous changes. It's not, we're not going to be going back to the days of let's send 15 kids out against a very strong Munster or Leinster side and get a 50, 60 point thumping, because I don't see the point in that. But I think he will, as he has done all season, he'll mix it and match it a little bit, maybe a bit more. He might bring a few more of them in. You might see some of them starting rather than on the bench. Angus Curtis is going to be like a new signing, let's be honest. We haven't seen him at all. And I mean, I thought that lad was really coming on before he took that horrible injury. So, there's another one that we'll see coming in. I don't know. When am I expecting Luke Marshall back? Is he next season or?
I think Lookie's out till the end of the season. Yeah.
So, there's a lot of players going to be coming back in that if they're on form, they're going to be in. But the competition. So I think in the back line, we've got a lot of competition. I think it's up front, maybe in the locks. I'm not sure we have a huge problem in the front row.
I was just giving that a bit of a mull over, really. We at hooker, we're doing really well. We've got plenty of cover for whenever, for when Heron pops off down to Ireland and maybe into the Lions if anyone looks at him in the right way. So, props, I still think we're maybe a wee bit light on props on both loose and tight head, maybe one more of each would be really nice. And I'm not sure if we're actually packing the academy with forwards in the same way as our backs. It seems to be, I don't know if the school system's kind of letting us down a wee bit there in terms of putting out, front row, or even not so much front row, but forwards to the same extent. And my concern is, what's that?
It never really did, though. We never really got any forwards out of the academy, and I think actually this season's a slight step up from previous seasons.
Oh, of course it is.
We've got Callum Reid. We've got Callum Reid signed up now, and I think he's definitely one to look for. We should hopefully have Jack McGrath back next season as well. Let's not forget. Andy Warwick's not going anywhere, and I think Andy's still a bit of a stalwart player for us. In fact, the last few games he's played for us, he's been bloody good, I thought. And then of course you've Marty and you've got Eric and you've got Tom O'Toole. I don't think. I mean, we're not.
That's about 5, isn't it? I think we've run off 5 there.
6.
What's that? Is it?
No, I haven't counted who's tight and who's loose. Like, it could be 4 and 2, but you know what I mean. But
I mean, we're putting huge reliance on both Tom O'Toole and Eric O'Sullivan, who are very, very young players, and they have worked absolutely tremendously all season. Anytime they've come to the park, and you sort of just hope that those lads aren't going to be absolutely gassed out too early in their careers when they've got another 10, 12, hopefully years well ahead of them of playing top level rugby and breaking into the Ireland squads and going on and making a real mark for themselves in the international game as well.
I think we're about 6 on the props, but I don't know if that's balanced. We've got 4 hookers.
Yeah. I think our hookers are absolutely fantastic, and I know you guys were talking about Bradley Roberts earlier. As a signing, absolutely immense to bring him in from Rainy Old Boys and give him a shirt for a year and see how he goes. He's just been every time he gets the ball, whether he's coming off the back of a rolling ball or whatever. I think everyone just wants to see that red mullet go that line and absolutely behind him. I think it's a wee bit of a romantic story about his journey, because it hasn't been easy for him. From coming up from South Africa and then choosing to go into Rainy Old Boys to try and make his mark, and he's absolutely nailed himself in there. And to be given the chance as an injury cover and to really, really show it's just been tremendous. I mean, his arms are massive. He's a really, really well conditioned guy, and when you hear his wee story there on Ulster Rugby about the loss of his father last year, and that his dad has been his hero all his life, and this is like for him pretty much a real big tribute to the faith his dad had in him, and I think it's really, really sort of sparked them up to get the Ulster shirt too. So I think everybody's happy about that, because I don't know, it's a great story, it is, and he seems to be a bit of a character in the squad. Yeah, because all the players, the first time he put the shirt on, as you said, he got near the line, and I think there was about 3 Ulster forwards trying to drag him over the line to score. And then when he goes and scores, it's an individual up the middle effort. There you go. Too off like an inside centre by accident.
It was absolutely brilliant. So we're happy about the signings, but we think possible. Well, we obviously Locke. We're late at the minute, definitely. So they're going to have to look at that. Back row. I think we're okay back row. I think we probably are.
I think it's going to be pretty clear that Marcel leaving's going to leave a hole. But to be fair, the guys that have stepped up this year, as we said before, Timony has just absolutely. And Timony was doing this before Marcel joined. He was really starting to make a big, big dent. And then Marcel came in. Okay, Marcel was injured for a wee while, and again Timony stepped up and played. But he then kind of got disjointed. But you can see his sevens rugby. He's just a real power guy. His offloads are fantastic, and we'll absolutely miss Marcel. He'll be a bonkers to say otherwise, but I think we're okay in the back row. I'm fairly confident with what's going on
back line as well. We're going to have at least 3 nines next season. 2 of them are going to be very young, but actually with 4 nines.
4.
2 of them are young. 2 of them are very young, but they're guys we need to see coming through because they're talented.
I think the discussion between Finlay or Doak going forward is going to be one to really keep an eye on. Obviously, Finlay's got the 9 shirt in the under-20s for Ireland. Absolutely nailed that shirt. Is sensational, but of course, there's still huge eyes on Doki. It's going to be a really interesting battle to see how those two play out their early years,
So I totally agree with you, mate, because the last thing we want is one buggering off to Elan Trail Finders, isn't it? So that's probably what would happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kieran Campbell could do worse by actually taking one of those guys and developing them in the championship.
I know.
Then firing them back to us.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, then at 10, we've got Billy, we've got Mads, and we have we've options beyond that. Obviously, Mike Larry's probably the next option.
Yeah, Angus Curtis.
Angus Curtis is a 10 as well. So we've got 3 or 4 players we can put in there. Centers, we don't even need to discuss centers. We've got them coming out of the trees at the minute. We must have 5 or 6. Five or 6 there. Yeah. And then our back 3 is the same. We're going to have easily 6 players there to pick from. Maybe more. Actually, more. We have more.
I think the fact we've got so many players here now, I'm not going to call them utility backs because that's an unfair service on them. But we've got so many players who can switch and slot, which I think nowadays is kind of an essential component of being a professional back.
It nearly determines. We've nearly gone back to that's who the 23 is, isn't it? It's somebody who can play 2 positions in the back 3.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily in the back 5, but the back 3 anyway.
Yeah. Aye. Nakawara's Evan Gilbert's just chucked in a good comment there about Nakawara going in here at locker back row or lock, and
he can do both as well. Absolutely, yeah.
So if the big guy can't get back to his form, where we've seen him just being blistering for Racing and Glasgow pre-Racing, if we can get him back to there under the guardianship of Dan McFarland, who knows him well, then do you know what? He will be an absolute asset. I know people are still kind of holding the line out a wee bit on him, but I really believe that he is something that will be a real sensation for us.
So interesting. Now, Pro 14 in general, how do you think we went?
Well, I just think this season, if anyone would have said else, we'd have gone through the season unbeaten, bar Leicester in 2 fixtures, we'd have been absolutely overjoyed. Anyone that thinks otherwise is probably in a different world. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree. I mean, we're not there with Leinster yet. Nobody is, and I think we seem to have a bit of a mental block with Leinster, if I'm honest, because sometimes I don't think the scoreline reflects the difference. But we're getting there. That's the only team that beat us in the whole league this season. And you consider our away form last year and this year, it's just chalk and cheese.
I mean, we lost the Ospreys last year away. What was that all about? As an example.
Sorry, Ospreys fans.
That's right. Apologies. That's from a South Wales representative.
Before we go on to the Rainbow Cup, just want to have a wee quick chat with these guys about the ladies' Six Nations game against France at the weekend. It was a bit of a lesson, really, wasn't it? And I think that. I mean, for me, it was just professionals against amateurs. It was semi-professionals, some professionals, but they've played a season of rugby in their league, haven't they? You know, in France. And our girls haven't kicked a ball for a year, you know, until the Six Nations. So I'm gutted for them because, you know, I mean, I've watched our girls win Six Nations. I watched them play really well last week against Wales.
I was just about to say they had an absolute schooling in Wales last week.
Yeah,
and then they didn't carry that form across.
Yeah, so you know, I was gutted for them because I think nobody really knew where they were. That scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect where they are because, like I say, they haven't played a lot of rugby, and they are not professional. They haven't played a league. You know, they were playing against girls who are conditioned, match hardened, match fit, really, isn't it? And they took a bit of a steamroller, really, and you can see it in their faces at the end of the game. Absolutely gutted for them. What's the answer? But you know, briefly, because I know they're going to do a show in a couple of weeks and talk about this. But do we need? Is there any way financially at the moment you think professionalism could come into? I mean, it's got to get there.
I mean, if Dave, do you?
I think in this case, I'm going to make the case to make them full professionals now. Now, financially, yes, I understand the difficulties that may or may not exist. You know, obviously, and to that I refer to bringing in Zebo. Obviously, that was a joint effort. But I think at this point, the IRFU need to seriously consider making our ladies team a professional team. Now that will mean that we will have to have more a better professional structure in the provinces, and that's very, very possible. Once we get past this god awful pandemic and get our teams back on the pitches, then I think the IRFU need to seriously consider what they need to do to give central contracts to the same group of women as they do the men. I should see no reason why they can't do it. Yes, there's a struggle, but we have to face the facts here. If we want our women to perform at the absolute highest level, then we need to fund them as professionals. In the same way.
I've got to say though, mate, here's the how do we do it? And again, we'll not dwell on it because we're going to cover it in another show. But they've got to have a professional league to play in. It's not enough just to pay them money. They've got to be playing the level of games and the number of games and the quality required to bring them up to the standard of the Englands and the France. Just paying them is not going to do it. They've got to be playing.
No, there has to be.
So does there have to be a kind of a 3 or 4 nation approach to this, where they set up like a Pro 12 type of league, maybe amongst 3 or 4 nations, and have these girls playing a bit like we do in the Pro 14?
I was just about to say they need to start playing the likes of the Saris ladies. They need to start getting over. They need to have a British and Irish league a BNI league, BNI Cup, to actually
option,
get they actually need to do what we had for our academy lads, which was the BNI, and actually get it going and actually let our girls from all parts of all four corners of the island actually get exposure to real hard game time, week in, week out. And if that means they have to go on a 4-week tour across the mainland to play north, south, east, and west, and that's what they have to do. But it's got to be absolutely week in, week out. They've got to be absolutely banging in big match performances. Otherwise,
BNI League's interesting, actually. Yeah, that's another option. Because you keep trying to align it with the men's game, and maybe the solution is slightly different, you know.
I think the academy option is kind of closer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll leave that to the lads to discuss in a future show. Folks, again, welcome to WhiteWalkers Chat and Craic. That's tonight sponsored by Hellbent, Hellnaco Biltong, and Auto Door Solutions. The latter is automatic doors. The other stuff's yummy foods. So sorry about that. I get the boring bit, don't I? Right, European Challenge Cup preview. We face, and then we'll do the Rainbow Cup. But we face Leicester Tigers in 2 weeks' time. I take it you both probably watched the game they had with Bath at the weekend.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting watch, Nigel. For me, it was a case of both teams butchering chances at points, and in the end, Leicester in discipline just crept in, and Bath took full advantage of it. I think, and that was a pretty strong team Leicester had at that.
It was.
And a very strong Bath team. Considering we've faced both, but considering the last time we faced Bath, it was a tight game. I see another tight one coming up against Leicester, no doubt about it. But I think we can do it, and absolutely we can win it. It would take us bringing out our strongest team possible, and just doing it the same way we've done it the last few weeks. It's just a matter of making sure we do the basics properly and not fall into that discipline trap.
There's two parts to this for me. There's the head and the heart, right? There's the bottom line is we've played and put out two of the teams above them, so we shouldn't fear them. We absolutely must turn up, and this game is going to be won or lost up front for me. It's going to be in the pack, because I think our back, we definitely have the backs to unlock them, without a doubt. But it's how much ball they get, and they'll have to watch out for the old George Ford spiral kicks as well, because he is quite good with those. But what I noticed was Bath were very switched on to them at the weekend, and Watson covered them very, very well. And he didn't last time, by the way, they played. Last time they played, he got caught out by Ford's spiral kicks. He didn't. So I hope Ulster have watched that, because Watson had that bang to a tee. But it's going to be up front, because I think we're going to see Genge and the two old stagers in the front row. And Genge is a guy you've got to stop. He actually made an awful lot of carries at the weekend.
He did indeed.
Yeah, he's a hard big bugger to bring down. The other two guys not so mobile, great in the scrums. I think 3 against 3, we probably have got the physical match, and we certainly have the pace on them. But they're dangerous. They are dangerous. It's this second row thing again. We're going to be a little bit light, possibly, because unless we have Hendo, which is why I don't think they'll risk Hendo this weekend. They'll put him in. Somebody's mentioned Vice there, which is another one to watch out for. He's a dangerous player. But I think we could really do with Hendo's nous and ball carrying and disruptive play in that game. But whether we will or we won't, we'll see if we get him. I'd rather have him in than have one of our lads on the bench, so we've got 3 dedicated locks in that game, because I think we'll need them.
Yeah,
back row, no real issues, because I think it's going to be, well, I imagine Geordie over there, because Geordie seems to just find his form in the last few months. He's just gone for it. He's brilliant. I'd be very surprised if Nick Timoney doesn't start, because he's just a nuisance around the park. And it's who the other one is, isn't it? Really, it's who the third one is.
Yeah.
Is it Reedy, or is Reedy on the bench? Really, he seems to be coming off the bench quite a bit lately. So But if we can match them up front, I think we'll beat them. Because I think we've got the backs to do it. Again, be very interested to see who the back line are. I'm pretty certain it's going to be Burns. People are talking about should it be Burns, should it be Madigan? It's going to be Burns if he's fit and available.
Yep.
And people just need to stop having this argument. He is the first choice 10, and rightly so, in my opinion. It'll be Cooney, obviously. It's going to be Hume and McCluskey in centre, I imagine. And the wings will be Balakoon and Stockdale. Fullback could be a tricky one if somebody appears this weekend. Fully fit Addison, it's hard to leave him out, isn't it? But we'll have to see if he's available. We don't know. But so we have an idea who the team's going to be. And I think the bench will be very similar as well, minus Izuchukwu, but we'll probably see maybe Greg Jones again coming on as the back row cover and Matty Ray coming in as a second row cover.
Well, I'm going to put this out here, right? I'm going to put it out there. Ulster going to win with 5 tries on the board.
Oh, you just don't know me. I know.
At the moment, our guys have actually at last clicked to what we thought they were capable of virtually all season. They're now starting to properly turn on the gas. They're now starting to hit their lines. They're taking the ball up. That slip pass from Billy Burns to Stockers to put him under was absolutely sensational. Initially, I thought it was forward. And I was like, oh, no. And then I just thought, what an incredible pass to get that round the back. And I think, do you know what? With that confidence carried into the semi-final, there's no reason why we won't march in to the final.
Oh, no, we can absolutely win that game. Absolutely. In fact, we'd probably go in slightly as bookies' favourites too, because we've had 2 away wins in England as well.
Aye, but Dan's playing that line down, isn't he? Dan
of course he is. Of course he is. But no, I think you're right. It's one of those ones we're sitting going, oh, it's going to be tight, and it could be. But yeah, if Ulster go and turn the gas on, yeah, they could do a 5-point on or a 5-try on them. Absolutely.
We'll put it this way: back to a picture that I had a wee while back, and it'll come out again next weekend, and it'll be my old pal Elmer's Fudd, and he will just say those immortal words.
Where is it going?
Very quiet by Mounting Tigers.
Yeah, we've got it on the page
already. You sounded like Renan just then.
Per Renan.
I didn't know Ronald was South African.
We're only taking a mickey out of Per Renan now. Taking a hand in that my bad form there.
I'm telling you, sorry. Okay, let's move it on to the Rainbow Cup, which is coming up this weekend, and we've got a home game this Friday against Connacht. As we talked about earlier on, do we think we will see anything like a full-strength squad or full-strength team in this game? I can already see the answer, Dave.
In a word, no. I think we're going to see squad. I think we're going to see the squad being used properly here. I can see, we'll have 4 or 5 mainstays in there, just to keep the shape right. But I think it's time for Dan to unleash the full part of the squad here. We do have an excellent squad, and I think it'll be foolish of us not to use them.
All right. Who should he be putting in and giving time to then?
We're here. Well, let's see. Well, looking at mainstays, I think Warwick for hooker for a start. Probably Tom O'Toole. Second row, if they're looking to give Hendo a bit of game time off the bench, fair enough. But if not, I'd like to see Marcus Ray get involved on that one. As I said, Sexton's not ready to come in, so I think we'll be looking at let's see,
Gilroy.
Yep, Gilroy has to be there. Mathewson, I know he's probably leaving. He's probably heading back again, but even then, we can use him. Certainly during this Lockerweek period. You know what? There's such a range in this. I've been to and fro. I'm in a to and fro on this one. I can't really make up. I can't even get off the fence.
Gregor just got you there. Why are you playing Andy Warwick as a hooker?
To be fair, I thought that's quite a step up. Well played, Mr. Galway. You nailed him there.
You know, Gregor
he's sharp as a tack tonight.
Here, you know what? It's just been one of those days, lads.
I know. It is a Monday.
The problem is we're going to have, okay, I mean, I think the fans, and it was discussed in our piece today, Nigel, I don't know if you've seen it, one of our guys put on, is any fan truly up for this Rainbow Cup with any genuine enthusiasm for it? Or is it purely a sort of statement trophy to get the Saffers back in playing rugby before the Lions and all that kind of thing? So where does actually really, really sit in people's thing? But what we don't really want it to become is almost a second-rate tournament whereby the rugby isn't. The rugby will still be brilliant, don't get me wrong, but we don't want it becoming a damp squib where sides are literally not showing up for it because there's no interest. Because once the Saffers come, they are going to come pretty much fully loaded. We've looked at the Lions, the Bulls, and all their bits and pieces, and they are committing some big talent to the Rainbow Cup. So we want to be able to front up. And we've just got to decide if you might find out that after the semi-final next weekend, will determine where else to go with it.
Yes,
maybe. And ultimately,
I think we'll go. I think we'll go with a bit of a mix this weekend. It won't be a second string team, but it'll be a bit of a mix. Because we've got players we need to be looking at. We're talking about front row. Callum Reed's a lad that I think's got huge potential. Love watching that lad play. We've got to get maybe the likes of Dave McCann out this weekend, or Marcus Ray, maybe Matty Ray starting. Second rows we're kind of hand tied. We just don't have enough of them. We're going to have to play the ones we've got.
I'll tell you what, we've kind of used, Dave McCann as an example. Has got to be out there. Dave McCann to me is really starting to show he's first 23 material all day. Once he gets a counter going, once he gets a gallop up, the man's away. He's just absolutely immense, and he sees gaps and he goes for it. And I mean, to play Gilroy almost as he's got to be there rather than first 23. There's just names now in the squad, that depth you talked about earlier. There's just such depth now. I think, where do we play these guys? And with Bill Johnson going off the Eden Trail Finders, it's just an example of, we're now flooded with talent. And then we're trying to find homes for folk. It's an unusual scenario.
Yeah, well, I don't think this weekend they drop both our wingers, but you might see Rob Little's still fit, isn't he? I think he is.
Yeah, can't see it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any.
I'm not aware of him being injured. So Rob Little, class little player. Maybe it's time he got a game. Ethan McElroy maybe even got a start.
Yeah.
Put one of the bigger lads on the bench. So have them there, but don't have them starting.
Yeah. To be fair, I would love to see Aaron Sexton actually get a run out this weekend. Just to let him stretch his legs. Because at the end of the day, he's got to get some game time before the end of the season, just so we can actually see where he's at and let Dan have a proper look at him in match day conditions.
Yeah.
Because there's been little away games this year. With to talk about.
And what we've seen of him, I mean, the last gas is just unbelievable.
He's amazing. I mean, we've seen him at Bury Fields when he really turned on the gas. He went end to end. It was something like 10.6 seconds or something absolutely blistering. No one laid a hand on him. They couldn't get near him. And I mean, it was he just schoolboyed everyone around him in terms of pace. And if he can carry that pace, and he says he's just getting quicker and quicker, working with a strength and conditioning team, he's changed his stride pattern, and he says he's just getting quicker and quicker under the guidance of our SSE boys. So he needs to run out for sure. And of course, he's a banger boy, so I might be a wee bit sort of biased.
Well, will we see him this weekend, though, or will we see him maybe get a run out in the Rainbow Cup?
I think we'll see him this week. I think we'll see him this weekend against Connacht.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right, because the fans just want to see the guy play. They want to see what he can do in a senior shirt, don't they? Right, okay, we've got some law variations coming in.
Yes, we have.
I thought you
We
might
talked
laugh.
We talked about these before, Nigel.
I know, but we have to mention them on the show, mate.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So, I mean, I've got to say, there's some of the because I done that 15 minutes with Joe a couple of weeks ago. With was it Andy from down in South Africa?
Mm-hmm.
And we done that 15-minute. We kind of went to 24 minutes, but that's irrelevant. That's just usual. But yeah, there's some of the stuff in the World Rugby that I think should have been implemented globally much quicker. The ones they're taking in, there's huge disparity amongst the fans about the 20-minute thing, about the 20-minute red card, which is kind of 2 yellows in terms of how it's managed. There's a huge discussion that's undermining the sort of severity of a head injury. Okay, in terms of if I do the shoulder into someone's face and then I go off for 20 minutes and somebody else comes on, some people are saying that's undermining World Rugby's commitment to, safe plays and all that kind of thing. And I can see that all day. But if you look at something like big license, Andy Warwick, when he get red carded for them sort of shoulder brush up towards the, across the chest on the shoulder to the side, you know what? That would be a perfect 20-minute red card for me. But as Nigel Owen said, there still needs to be the referee's discretion where a red card stands as a full red card. And he has absolutely been adamant that there needs to be a full red.
One that concerns me though, and I watched it, it was the Cardiff Blues and London Irish game. And the London Irish prop, was red carded for a high tackle, a high hit. And the more I watched that, the more I thought it was actually the Cardiff Blues ball carrier that instigated that contact. He actually launched his head forward. Just before we went into the contact, he launched the head forward. And I was like, if somebody came at you like that in a pub, you'd kick their teeth in for coming at you like that.
Yeah.
And then they looked at it, and it was totally looked at with the tick list of the laws. And I'm going, hang on a minute, he instigated that contact with the head, and that wasn't even looked at. And the other guy was red carded, and I thought that's totally wrong.
Yeah, totally. And then you look at Jake Ball for Scarlets versus Faf de Klerk in the Sales game in the Sale Sharks. And Jake Ball walked away without even a cite or a sanction. And you're just like, it just blows the whole lot out of water. So I think the 20-minute red card, I would be a fan of it. I've got to say, if I had I'd be 90% a fan of it at this stage. And I know it's been happening a lot down in Super Rugby, Atora and stuff. They've been using it a lot in the last year or so. As for the captain's challenge, that's already been used a lot down the Southern Hemisphere. And there's been times when it's actually overruled poor decisions and it's worked. But I'm not sure that would be one I'd be actually pushing for. Out of all of the other stuff that World Rugby offered up, the Captain's Challenge would be my least favourite of all of the rule changes.
What about the ball held up rule?
Ball held up. Do you know what? I think it's an absolutely fine decision to just let. I'd be on board for that all day to keep just to speed up the play, because we end up just going for reset. And I think if the defending team have prevented that ball from being, touchdown, I think the defending team should be given the chance to play that ball outside of 22. So again, that's one I'm on board with. It's all about keeping this game faster. The one I really wanted them to go for, which they didn't do, lovely. The one I wanted them to go for, Nigel and David, that they didn't take on, was actually that you can only join the mall if you're already in it, so you can't then charge into the mall whatsoever. And the mall is given 3 seconds for the ball to be released. So once the ref calls, use it 9. Instead of having 5 seconds, got 3 seconds to get that ball out and going. And I think that would have been really, really important to keep these malls going.
Yes. I watched, what was the game yesterday? It was Leicester and Bath. Did you notice how quick Pearce was calling for the ball to be used yesterday?
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
The thing that annoyed me was, okay, 5 seconds, 3 seconds. Sometimes it's let run too quick. But basically, as soon as that ball hit the deck, he was saying, use it. I'm going, God, give him a chance to have a look around, see where he's passing it, just right here. But he was use it.
But that puts the onus on the scrum half to actually do something with it.
Mm.
You know, it's pushing the onus now on the scrum half, put them under a slight bit of time pressure. But that you'll know a good scrum half. He'll know his awareness. He'll know where the players are. So to that end, I think it's going to be good for the game.
Well, the thing to get rid of, guys, is that most annoying thing in ruck play, that friggin' caterpillar. It'll get rid of that.
Yeah, that's gotta go. That's
you just won't have the time to set those up anymore. I hate those.
And the other thing was the other rugby rule that I quite liked was they were looking at only having one reset scrum. That was it. Scrum, clap, scrum, reset. After that, free kick to the attacking side. Just to keep the ball going. It's a lot of it was about the COVID-19, trying to reduce the amount of time front five were actually in such close space. So a lot of it was driven by COVID.
Okay, I'm going to ask the props out there then, if that was brought in.
Right, Mr. Toppin, not you.
Don't touch me.
I'm only a wee scrum half. I know nothing. I don't speak English. Yes, Dave, over to you.
I would say here, catch yourselves on. Because that takes away the most physical part of the sport. In the end, we need the contact.
Yeah. During the COVID-19 pandemic, globally playing Saffers, and once the Six Nations the Lions kicks off, all this has been changed purely to speed up the game and reduce that front five contact. But you're quite right. You're quite right. It is a props arena. It is absolutely that front five arena. The power game.
But anything to mix it up, I think it's only going to be good for the sport in general. Anyway, whether we get rid of it afterwards, well, that's up to them. But it's, but for me, it's it's part and parcel. You need that.
Yeah. Who's muted this down tonight, King? Nigel, you're on mute. Who done that?
Oh, who do you think? Say anything derogatory about a plop.
Well, you got the super mute.
Oh dear. Just my worry is that obviously attacking teams might see that as an opportunity to get a free kick easily. I mean, the referees would really have to watch that one, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And then what do they do if they deem that the attacking team has dropped it? Do they start getting it the other way, and then people go, "Oh, that's not the way it's supposed to go." Oh dear. You remember playing, Joe? He was the same age as me. It was probably the same time.
Yeah. What's Dave's thoughts on the 20-minute red card, Dave?
I actually agree with it. I actually like the idea of it. And my main reason for saying that is very simply, if somebody gets a red card after 3 minutes, you're pretty much wrecking an 80-minute game, based on that. Now, yes, I know there are people who are set against it, and I understand and I respect their opinions on it. But for me, it's very simply a case of to give it a bit of competition, that make it a fair-ish contest. Yes, the player who's been red carded will get the punishment that's due, and it could be that they may make the punishments slightly harsher in that respect. But no, I think where you have that situation, maybe if they restricted it into the first 10 or 15 minutes of a game, then yes, they should use it. You have that 20-minute period, but after that, then they should do without.
Yeah. It's interesting. We go back to the Jared Payne, incident as a classic. What was that? 4 minutes into the fixture,
Yep.
And we were down to 14 men for the remainder of that fixture. But there's other organisations down in the Southern Hemisphere that are using orange card, whereby it's a 20-minute binning until the full TMO match officials get a chance to properly look at it, and they can then make it a full red. Well, that's it. Or they can go to the 20-minute red. So there's that discretion where it's almost the black card. Is it GA uses the black card for a similar thing? Where they get to then look, is it discretionary and
can they also review it and say, actually, no, it wasn't, let them back on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do. And that can be less than 10 minutes. So it'll be a 10-minute fix, and then they go back in or stay out for 20 and then replace or whatever. So it's quite interesting having a third card. But then Nigel ones can't even remember 2 cards, so a third card going to cause it more havoc.
Or you could even just forget the cards altogether.
Okay, you know what's going
to happen? We're going to have Nigel Owens wheeling one of his cows out to predict the bloody winners of games in the World Cup. It's going to happen, like, isn't it?
As long as it's Merwin Ulster, we don't mind. Merwin Ulster.
Merwin Ulster. Yeah. Okay, Merwin Ulster. Who's going to win this week?
That was on the clock. That wee calf was born on the same night as we beat Glasgow. That's when Nigel was reffing. So you got Merwin Ulster that night.
Right, got you. Dave, just the other thing we discussed when you went off was the held up rule. You know, where they're going to trial the if you're held up, then the defending team kick it out from under the posts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it from where it's held up or from under the posts?
The kickoff comes from the 22 meter.
Oh, it's 22.
Yeah, so you guys 22 drop out
from under the posts.
No, I don't know. I thought it was under the posts.
No, let me check again. I've got it here. Hang on, bear with. I haven't read it today. Bear with. No, I can't find it now. Hang on. I did actually see it earlier. I'm sure it said 22 meter, and it must go 5 meters from there.
Right. Okay.
Last time I seen it, I thought it was under post, but there you go.
There you go.
I'm sure, but if I'm wrong, then obviously beat me with a whip.
You learn something new every day. When he's looking at that, I'd remind everybody, listen, you've been watching the WhiteWalkers Craic and Chat Show, brought to you by Hellbent, Kainako Biltong, and Auto Door Solutions, Joe. And,
guys, all right, sorry. Goal line dropout, my apologies, my bad.
And now we've mentioned our sponsors again. We can tell you that Dave and I were actually correct. And, is it from under the post though, Chris, or is it from where the ball was held up?
It says for held up over the line, knock-ons occur in goal, or when the ball is grounded by the defending player after a kick through, the defending team will take a dropout from anywhere in the goal line. The dropout must occur without delay and cut across the goal line, traveling 5 meters. So anywhere.
There we go. Right.
And basically, it's basically about keeping that pace in the ball, speeding the game up.
So it's basically a 22 dropout from under the goal line, isn't it? From behind the goal line. Yeah. Right. Okay.
See, Gerald Wilson. Gerald thought it was 22 meters. It's not. Yeah. There you are.
Sorry, Gerald. It's the goal line. Apparently, I haven't got it in front of me, so I'm totally relying on what people are telling me here.
You have. Look,
but Chris has it. Look, I can read that.
Change glasses.
Oh God! I tell you what. We're talking about family. I'm going to give you a thought for the day if I can find this.
Oh, yeah, that was lovely. Like that.
It's the one I showed you earlier on. But we'll show it if I can find it. Yes, it's thoughtful. I don't know if you're able to read this or not, but we'll give it a go. I'll go the wrong way around too, won't it?
That's okay. When your grandma crochets something, you gotta wear it.
Sorry, I pulled it up again.
Oh, brilliant. Perfect.
All right, we're getting silly now, so right. I think we better wind it up. But folks, I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. I think we've pretty much caught up with everything Ulster rugby related. We've touched on new signings. We've touched on Pro 14. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just touched on the Rainbow Cup or whatever you want to call it. We might have the pleasure of seeing Vihan Herbst back at Kingspan because he's currently listed as a player for the Lions for the Rainbow Cup. So right. Vihan might make a wee appearance back at Kingspan.
Make an appearance from Vihan.
Yeah. Which would be
well, you get a good cheer anyway. You get a good cheer.
Well, who by? There's no one there.
From the sheet of support staff. Oh, come on, be real here. Be real. Oh dear. Okay, folks, listen. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Totally enjoyed the crack, lads. And just to let you know what's coming up, the next 3BOD live group show is with Dre Bocca and 3 blokes, and it's Joe Shepherd. Joe's going to make an appearance again. Haldy Pottinger, Annual Daniel, and Gima and Gareth Mason, and it's a preview of the Pro 16 Rainbow Cup with a bit of a South African twist in there from the lads that side of the pond. So please tune in and watch that. That'll be interesting to see what the lads think of it. Guys, brilliant as always. Chris, great to have you on board.
Thank you very much, sir.
And we'll be doing one of these once a month, so we'll see plenty of you. And Dave, fantastic, mate, as always. Great crack.
Oh, here, you know what?
Thank goodness Chris is there with his phone to tell us the
catch up.
Thank God Chris is there with his phone to tell us the laws, eh? Bloody take somebody, mate, I'll tell you.
Here, it's all right. We could have made give it the wrong answer and it'll be grand.
Well, that's what scrum offs are for. Just point lots.
I've never said no referee ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks, we hope you enjoyed tonight's show. This has been the WhiteWalkers Chat and Crack, part of the 3BOD rugby group. Listen, thanks for joining in. And for those of you listening, leave your comments down below. And we'll see you all next month. Appreciate your time, folks. Guys, thanks a million.
Good night.